Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. It's been a little while since I've been on here, and I just have not felt guided to do a reading. And I think for a variety of reasons, and one of them being that so much is shifting. So much is, oh my gosh, so much is shifting. And it would be like there would be a certain like opening and a level of clarity, and then it would happen again, and then it would happen again, it would happen again. And I have just been spending, well, first of all, my kids are away. They're in Morocco, both of them, and they've extended their trips, and now they're going to be gone for 3 weeks, which is the longest that I've been alone since they were little kids, without both of them. Normally if my daughter would go away, I would still drive down to see my son. And so I'm just like having this whole like, oh my God, soul retrieval, like empty space. But I know it's not just me. It's just this is how my version of this energy is playing out in my hologram. But because that I know that energy, I'm certain that energy of just like expansion and like unplugging and healing on levels that we can't even track is absolutely collective. So I've been spending a lot of time just kind of like I'm having an issue, I could say, with inertia, like where like I'll sit down, like granted my couch is like really, really, really comfy. So I'll sit down on my couch and I'll just be sitting there. And this happened even before my kids left. Like ever since I've gotten back from the ocean, I've just felt really, really different. And I've been recalibrating, but then it's not like I'm just recalibrating from one thing, because then there's also clearings and changings going on every single day. So it's just, you're going through it too. But I don't know if you're going through this part, but I would like just sit down and then I just wouldn't want to get up. Like it just felt so wonderful to just sit, and I would just sit, and then it's like I could have just sat there forever, like a lot of like empty, quiet, still space. And then when my kids left, that's a whole other thing. Like it's just unreal having this much spaciousness. However, I've had more sessions and readings than I've ever had in my life. Like it's been insane how many people are reaching out. And I thought like, well, does everybody like subconsciously, telepathically know that I have a lot of free time? So, or is it just the energies or whatever? But anyways, I've been doing a lot of sessions, and the sessions have been very different too, because again, this energy work that I do is very connected to the collective energy and movements. I mean, first of all, because we're all one. So anything you're doing inside of yourself is happening on a collective level, but I've always been able to track what's going on with the collective energies, because I'll see certain patterns for a while and then they'll change. And so now it's like we're just in like a whole other land, and the things that are happening in these sessions, again, I feel like, and because I'm doing so many of them, sometimes several in a day, which is unheard of for me, because I like to live a very spacious life, and I have, responsibilities and kids, and my daughter lives with me, all that. But yeah, so I've been able to keep up with this, and it's been really fun and good, and feels like divine timing. And so what's happening is there will be like these huge clearings that are also collective on really deep levels in the sessions, and there will be these new energy. Well, I'll probably end up talking about this as I go along today in this video, but anyway, and then that'll kind of like change the fabric. Like on the one hand, it's all a reflection of the collective energies, but then on the other hand, what we do inside of ourselves or where two or more gather it's a chemical reaction. So that's then contributing to the change in the collective. So it's just been like boom, 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 and ripples, and it's just been like insane. I saw a friend of mine at the co-op yesterday, and we had gathered last week, and we did a session together too. And so I saw her, and we were both just like, oh my God. And I asked her how she was, and she told me a little bit, and she's like, but there's like, I feel like this. And I'm like, that's exactly how I feel. And it's like, there might be clarity around that, but behind and in between and amidst the clarity is this like this, almost like there's no point in talking about anything, because everything's changing and everything's rearranging, and and this type of thing, and then just really being like a suspension type of feeling, and really being asked to just be in the moment and to stay present with every moment, and allowing that kind of birthing and expansion to just have its way with us. And so, but I do actually finally feel guided to do a reading today, and I think part of it is that I had FaceTime reading. And when I do them in person, I do them out of the room. I do sessions in, but when I do them through FaceTime, I do them at this table where I do my readings. And I haven't had a FaceTime one. Actually, I had one last week, but I had a session right after that. So, but this time I don't have anything else going on, and all my cards are here, and it just, I don't know if it's just like an association or if it's actually right timing, but it feels in the flow to do an actual reading with cards, because I haven't used cards the last couple times because there's just been such a download that just like fell out. I often use the cards to kind of slow it down, or to just create opportunity for other synchronicities that are personal to people watching and stuff like that. But sometimes it just all tumbles out, and then it's been an hour and then I hop off. But in this reading that I just did, it was like a 2.5 hour long reading. Like, we went so deep into it, and both being very right brain people, and there was information and sort of like unexpected communication through the cards. That was really, really fun. And that's what I enjoy about the cards, but I don't always use them that way. Often I just kind of use them for a puppet show, or to trigger the things that are already kind of swirling in the field. So anyway, I'm going to use cards today, and we'll see how it goes. I'm going to dive right in, and just see what wants to come through today, what message might want to come through. So I'm going to do an overall energy to start with. Thanks for tuning in with me. Oh, wow. Okay. So a frog spirit, clear out the clutter. Yeah, for sure. And that's 2 + 8 is a 10. I leave it at a 10. So there's that completion energy. There was a lot of that coming up in the reading that I just did as well. And again, all of it being collective. It's like we're reading, and if we're doing a session or we're doing a reading, we're reading into your personal version of the collective energy and moving around and illuminating the pieces specific to you, but it's also always very collective. So let's see what else here. Frog spirit, clear out the clutter. Definitely a lot clearing, like everything is clearing. Wow. 10 of Earth. That's interesting. This is an energy and a card of just sort of like wish fulfillment, receiving that 10th pentacle, 10 of Earth, 10 of Pentacle on the earth plane, things manifesting, things fleshing out. So that's what I'm finding in my own life, at the same time that there's all these really deep behind the scenes things clearing. There's also a lot fleshing in the physical for me. You might be noticing this in your own life as well. Just sort of like manifestation type of thing, like all the sessions for me, or like my car died, and it didn't die, it's just I need a new engine, and it has a lot of mileage on it, so I'm giving up on my car. And there's been this whole like magical situation where I'm being given a car, and oh my gosh, there's a whole story to that, but how my mind went around that and that whole process, but I probably won't go into that. But just, an example of things kind of fleshing out, timelines, changes. My cars for me have always represented my Merkaba. And so whenever this car that I had that I'm getting rid of, it was in the flood in Colorado in 2012, which was hidden from me when I bought it. But I realized it later, put it together. And so it's just given me endless problems. And it's been like, I've replaced almost everything in this car. I was like, I'm not replacing the engine. That's when it's done. But I always was drawing symbolism between the repair in my Merkaba, my outer Merkaba, and what was going on with me. And there was always a lot of spirit communication, this and that. So I always knew when I got my next car, it was going to be a reliable one. This also kind of relates for me with my inner masculine energy. I know a lot of you have been talking, we've been communing through the post on Facebook around that sort of masculine support energy, finding it within ourselves, and having it mirrored out in our outer reflection as we have better boundaries. Like I got gutters put in this week because the water, if you've ever seen any of my rain photos, the water just like falls, because I got a new roof, but my landlord, he's been ignoring me about the gutters. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put gutters on his house, and pay for them, because it would just fall like right onto my porch. And like, it was just awful. And so I had these gutters put in, and I thought the symbolism of that, like, directing, finding a channel and directing the water. And of course, the water element is our psychic ability, our intuitive ability, our astral multidimensional, behind the scenes work ability, and creating a channel for it, directing it to where I want to go, where it's like we're not just receiving like every single thing that's coming in from the field. We're creating a container so that we can be so that we can stay dry, so that we can protect and kind of corral our own psychic energy in a way. So that's that masculine energy working with the divine feminine energy. A lot of that, and just cleaning up the boundaries, creating a container, creating this type of thing. So there was that symbolism, but then the symbolism of my car, of having a car. So this new car that I'm being gifted, it's quite new. It's only 6 years old, has low mileage. It's been really well maintained, and so it, to me, it's representing again that masculine energy that has your back, that intact, but it's also representing the up-leveled light body, the up-leveled Merkaba field. Okay, so this is a lot of what I'm seeing in sessions. At the same exact time that we're clearing out all this stuff, there's this whole new energy that's coming in. And so I've been talking about that in the last couple readings that I've done, where for a while there was a lot about clearing out the programs that were embedded in our energetic system, the nanotechnology or excess electrical energy in the body, some of those overlays. And like I was seeing these weird cages over people's third eyes. And so there was a lot of that going on. But why? So I've been talking about this, and you might remember, especially for friends on Facebook, you might have seen that reading where I was talking about the beach energy when I was at the ocean, with the Atlantic Ocean. And when I came home, I was connecting with the clouds from the airplane. So I seen the clouds on top, and there was this whole energy, this energetic signature coming off the clouds that felt very conscious and intelligent to me. And it didn't have any kind of download. There was no decode. There was no, how sometimes, like I remember one time I was actually here in town, and I was sitting on my front porch, and I just all of a sudden started having, and this was a while ago, so I wasn't as integrated in the higher frequencies. I was in a denser energy, but I was having this really high frequency, unity consciousness type of dialogue in my mind. And I was just it was one of those whoa moments where I was just whoa, it was like a total download. And then it's kind of like when you're waking up out of a dream and you start to be like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Then you wake up. I started being like, wait, what's going on? And as I started pulling out of the channel, I noticed that there was a light, a star that was literally coming towards me. It was like coming towards me, that I was watching it. I don't do drugs, so I was just normal, but it was coming towards me. And then right as soon as I sort of broke the telepathic connection and got a little heady about it, it just went away and disappeared. So that was an amazing experience. And so I've had, I think a lot of us have had communications, you're in nature and you just start, getting a download or whatever, you're communicating with a tree, you hear the voice in your head, even if it sounds like your voice. This wasn't like that at all. It was just, I was like, whoa, there's an energy here. What is this? This type of thing. Well, what I started feeling in the sessions was that same type of energy was coming in after those inorganic frequencies or programs or substances. Physical substances were that I was perceiving them clearing through the sessions at the same exact time. And that's why I'm talking about this, because it's reminding me this configuration of cards and energy. There was this whole other new energy coming in, and it was what I felt in the cloud energy. And I was talking about this in the last reading, where with a one woman, first it came through in a couple different forms. First it was through the nature spirits and connected to the elemental realm. It felt connected to the earth, to the trees, to the plants, the plant life. And then it came through through the cloud energy. It was connected to the air, and then there was a whole thing with fire in another one. And so I was noticing that was introduced to me as a cloud consciousness was in all the different elements. And I kept being guided to go into nature and clear. There's been a lot, and I was talking about this in the last readings too, around commanding our realities. And I've been having to ask people to say this in sessions, because some of these energies that are clearing, they've been woven in through our lineage and in through our genetics and through our bodies and through our everything for eons. So, and this connects to what Alora Hazel has been talking about with these inorganic programs, clearing and releasing and going back, of course, into the inception point of these programs, which is that reptilian Draco, the overlords, the hijack, the infiltration on this realm, right? So going back really, really, really far, this has been woven for eons. So the fact that this stuff is leaving, it's really huge. That's the other thing I'm interrupting myself, but it's all connected. That's the other thing that's been coming through in the sessions. But first it was the inorganic stuff leaving, sort of like the tech type of stuff that was going. Now we're deep in the energy through the ancestral line. But what's interesting is it'll show up as like the ancestral curse, but not like a curse like, a sorcerer or a witch or a certain entity curses you. It's like the curse on humanity, going back to the original fracture and to the hybridization, the hijack, the breeder programs, all of that first being introduced into this realm, but also where we're at in the shift of the ages, where we're coming out of unity and into fragmentation. Okay, so now coming back into unity in the dance of the polarities and completing that whole cycle as well. Okay. Hold on. It's a lot. It's always a lot, but, okay. So hold on. Yes, the ancestral stuff. So a lot of that, it starts out showing up in the area, the back of the head is where I always feel the ancestral clearing, early childhood, conditioning, but it goes so deep, and it keeps coming through for me as ancestral curse, where whoever I'm working with is the code breaker, the curse breaker. And the curse is not the curse of the family. It's the curse on humanity, the hijack on humanity, which is then individualized and filters through all our bloodlines and our ancestry, right? So it's the same curse. It's one curse. It's just individualized, just like I was saying, like it's one collective movement, but in the sessions or the readings or in our individual lives, it filters through in its own, in our own unique way, in our specific life, hologram, relational experience, all of that. And so it's going back really far, it's going the whole way through the ancestral and the whole way back to that inception point. And it's been so intense, these sessions. Oh my God, the energy that's moving and the amount of, because a lot of the times I'm getting dizzy thinking about it. A lot of the times those, things that are unplugging, that are clearing, are really entrenched. They're the deepest through our lineage, and that's why it's coming through the ancestry, not just through unplugging these deep Akashic, galactic Earth history, humanity's history type of Akashic history. It's where it gets really trapped is in your ancestry, because you're really, I keep giving this analogy, it keeps coming to me. Like when someone in your family dies and you have like that person holds a certain level of distortion. Maybe they're like heavy in victim consciousness, or maybe they're a narcissist, or maybe, and so every time you interact with them in their field and in their behavior and their transmission is this distortion, right? So everybody's always working with that particular distortion, and then that matches up with this, and it's this whole network, right? So when that person leaves the planet, that energy gets unplugged. So everybody that's been relating to this certain energetic configuration of distortion is now not interacting with that anymore. It's gone. So everything gets to reconfigure. And so that's what I'm feeling for every human, where it's like these control programs on the sort of like, again, the tech level, or the like parasites, or all of the viruses, these things, these substances is the word that's coming to me in the body, physical substances, as well as rogue frequencies and signals, all that, as those are leaving, it's kind of like the shutting off of CERN, right? Our bodies are reconfiguring, and we're able to come into an alignment that we haven't been able to come into before, because these things were not able to be cleared in the way that they are now. Okay. And so that's also kicking up a lot of clearing within us on levels. Even if you are really advanced and you have a lot of guides and a lot of access and you teach a lot and you whatever, it's like we're still all, as humans, as a collective, on a new level of clearing that wasn't possible before. So we're all having this clear through us and through our lineage, but it's all the same pattern, just fractalized through the different deeper and deeper individuation through ourself, through our family unit, through the collective, through the Akashic history, through the galactic Akashic history. It's huge what's going on. It's huge what's going on. But what I was saying is that in the sessions, that stuff is often very sticky, and it's so entangled because we've been so enmeshed with it. Like I was saying, like when somebody dies, and you have to untangle all of this, and it creates this whole, like not that you have to untangle, and it can take years as that unravels, that type of thing, and that all of humanity going through that right now. But when it's woven with the ancestry, it's hard to leave. So I have been having to ask people, even it's the same thing, even with the tech and the substances in our body. I've been guided to ask people to state, I release you now, or I command you to leave, or something like that. And so a lot about the voice and speaking these things. So we were talking about this in the last reading, but again, just indicating that things are able to clear, but it takes our free will choice, because a lot of the stuff with our ancestry and with the collective and the society, we've given our consent in a variety of different ways, either because we, the whole, like, there have been a lot that's been coming up around rejection and not fitting in and rebelling against society and this type of thing. I'm seeing it in my son while he's on his trip in Morocco. He's like, I'm not a matrix guy. And like all the family thinks there's something wrong with me because I'm not integrated into this world, but I'm not here for this world. And all this. So supporting him with that. And then also just noticing a lot of the Facebook memes, like from my memories, like over like a big span of many years, maybe even a decade. I always notice the themes, because there's like themes that loop around on the same day, and you can track it through your Facebook memories. If you're a big sharer, you can be like, oh my God, this is all about rejection and not fitting in and not wanting to fit in. And so that's how it's been the last couple of days. So I feel like that's up again, the cycles in the collective where but again, because we're releasing these programs, and we're realizing like, wait, I don't have to be the nice girl or whatever my role was in the family dynamic, or I don't have to be, whatever it is. It's like, I can be sovereign, and I don't have to follow other people either. I don't have to go through somebody else's intuition to get the information that I need. It's like, I do that for sure for synchronicity. I do it when they're confirming something that's coming in for me, but I don't look to other people to tell me the truth of this reality, to tell me what's going on. It's like, we all have our own channels and our own access. And of course, we're all holding a different piece. So we put it all together, and we watch each other, and we bring the puzzle pieces together, and it's this beautiful thing. But again, a lot of what humanity is breaking right now is this pattern of looking outside of ourselves and looking to the one that knows to tell us, and then we're just letting our own intuitive centers atrophy, atrophy by looking outside of ourselves. So, oh my gosh, there's just so much correction energy going on right now. So all of that, talking about all that clearing at the same exact time. So this energy, to finish that thought, around the plasma, I jumped ahead. Hold on. It is plasma. And I learned that from Laura Hazel, speaking of the synchronicities that come in. So I was noticing this new energy that was coming in that had this intelligence, and it was presenting as organic intelligence. As the inorganic, artificial intelligence was leaving the body, there was this it felt ethereal to me. It felt like kind of like a liquid. I can't believe I gave away the whole thing. It's okay. It felt like almost like liquid light to me. Like in the one woman I was seeing, I was describing it as like a bioluminescent jellyfish under the water that glows. And this analogy of like, oh my God, like I didn't even know this existed. And it's like, well, it didn't exist. It just like spawned, but this bioluminescent jellyfish can clean up all of the pollution. It's like that kind of thing where like all of a sudden a new species evolves that handles the exact problem that was here, because there's always a solution to the problem, this type of thing, and then the actual truth and magic of this realm. And so that's what it felt like to me. Like it was this solution that was coming in. Like, we can get all, worried about, oh my gosh, the AI takeover, and it's going to be this whole thing, and like the fear porn, there's fear porn in the news and there's fear porn in the truther community, it's like, it's still fear. But yet what I was observing at that same moment, when a lot of that tech was capable of leaving our bodies because of what's happening on the light quotient and the frequency on this planet, which is kicking those programs off because there's no support for them anymore. The energetic frequency is different. The light quotient is different. These programs are falling off. And what happens? Poof, there's this whole new organic intelligence, which is working with the body. And what I felt like was each person had, and because how, like, I heard this one woman, she told me about how she was using this quantum computer that would read your energy field. It was like a program through the computer, and it was quantum stuff, and it would read your specific energetic signature, and then it would shield you from like electromagnetic stuff, and it would work with your field, and it would protect you. And I was just like, oh, hell no, I don't want some technology reading my field and doing something for me, that kind of thing. But this feels to me like it's doing the same thing, but it's very organic and it's very connected to the elementals in your body, just like the trees and the plants. And, there's like the devas of each plant, the workers, could be called fairies or gnomes, or the elementals that are connected to and working behind all of nature. We're nature as well. And so we have that in our bodies as well. And so I've worked with those beings before. Again, I've been doing the energy sessions for 17 years. So it's like I've seen energies in the human body for a very long time. This is new. It's connected to those elementals, but it has this organic intelligence that's specific to you. And I was being shown like these, like I didn't know what it was. And it was like, I was saying like axotonal line and assemblage point and like template, blueprint, but it was like the blueprint of that individual person. And then that organic intelligence that had that blueprint, it was their blueprint. It was their blueprint for their highest organic templating DNA activation in their body. And so I was just like, oh my freaking God, like this is amazing. And I was seeing it in everyone. And again, it was at the same time there was huge clearing. There was this huge new, this could be like the divine blueprint for that person, like intact, whole, like perfect for them. That's kind of the energy of the 10 of Pentacles. And so the reading I did this morning, she said this is this exact same energy. She's like, at the same time that I'm clearing, there's new stuff coming in, like it's like one exact motion. They're blended together. And so that's what I'm feeling as well. And so then I read this post of Alora's, and this always happens for me. There are a couple of people that really do the synchronicity thing for me. My higher self works through their information to ding something. Maybe she's been bringing through messages, if you don't follow her, around like the different guides that she works with. And so this one was the rainbow plasma beings or something like that, or I forget the last word, rainbow plasma something. And that what they were saying is here are the elements that fire, earth, air, water, and ether, and they were like, we're plasma, and we're not a sixth element. We're woven into all the elements as well as the human body. And what they said is that they were like the harmonizing force between them all. So it's like they held unity consciousness. So I put it together with my thing. They held the unity consciousness. They held the divine blueprint of the unifying force in this realm, so it would be connected to the earth grids, the true harmonics of this realm through the earth grids, and through taking it out wider, on a planetary level outside of just the elements, and then taking it in narrower, more individuated into the human level. So it's fractals of the same thing. Okay. And that there's a absolute, organic intelligence woven into everything that Alora is calling plasma that is working with us right now. And what they also said is there's never been so much plasma on this planet. And so I've been listening a little bit to Stefan Burns. I'm not like super interested in all the technicalities and stuff, but I've listened enough to learn from him that plasma is because it was another synchronicity, right? I was guided to listen to this. He's talking about plasma. And so he says, a lot of you probably know this. I'm not like a science person. I'm like a energy intuitive person. So, but he's plasma being the fourth stage of matter. And so, but also, the originating form of matter, right? Because it starts less dense and gets more dense. And so, right? I probably did learn that somewhere, but I don't feel like when I was in school, people were talking about plasma. Like, yeah, we had solids, we had liquid, we had gas, like, were they talking about plasma? I don't think so. And so anyway, this whole plasma thing. But what I also learned from him a while back and others is that because we were in the solar gain, right, from 2022, now we're out of it, but that we still have always, like the geomagnetic storming, but it's the plasma that's being shot at us through the storming and through the flares. And so our atmosphere has been pumped, our entire planet has been pumped with plasma, with the light codes from the cosmos and through the sun and all of this. And so it was when I was at the beach, this is interesting, this is coming up, it was when I was at the beach, when I was at that same spot on the Atlantic Ocean near Stargate 3 in Central Florida. Last year, I didn't realize this when I did that last reading until I came upon my memories, my Facebook memories from last year at the beach. And what I was receiving from the ocean at that point was that all the waters had been infused with the new energy. Well, what I would call the new energy now is this plasma, this organic intelligence, this energy that has been coming into our atmosphere from the solar activity. And that what I saw was that it was coded in the water, but it was also coded in the water within our bodies, that the water had awakened, the water was carrying that code. And I know a lot of us about a year ago, last year, a lot of people earlier, way earlier as well, but there was a huge uptick in water connecting. That's when I was connecting with the primal waters and kind of portaling through into primal energy through the water. I just was working with my water and I was doing intentions, and I just portaled through into, I was like, oh my God, there's cosmic water. There's water in space. Whoa. And that water holds all the divine blueprints. It was like that. It's like connected to the intelligence, the organic intelligence in the plasma as well. So anyway, it's really, really amazing. And then it being individuated for each person, it translates itself. It has this intelligence to work with and heal your body. So that's the other thing. As we're clearing, we're reconfiguring, and just to say that what was not possible before is possible now, in terms of everything, but just to hone in on the physical body, because that's what I'm often working with people. A lot of people just come for clearing, and spiritual, emotional, but it always affects the physical as well. So working with the physical body, it's like I know a lot of us are having a lot of pain and a lot of like injuries and stuff like that. And just the reminder that there's it's all connected to energy behind that, to consciousness, to the way energy moves, patterns of consciousness that create traumas and all this. And a lot of this is it's leaving for all of us, through our dream space, through the catalysts that we're having in our physical world. If you are having energy work or assistance in that way, then yes, absolutely, but doesn't even have to be that way. It's like you have a catalyst, you have a interaction with somebody that triggers something from within you, and then you have to do that alchemy and that work within you, and then it's cooking stuff up and you're feeling clearing out the clutter, all of that. But again, all of that being perfectly supportive, higher self guided and directed, those divine catalysts, the people that are leaving your life, the situations that are falling apart, like my car dying, and yet there's this whole other up-leveled thing that's coming in, right? If we just have faith and know that every exit is an entry on a higher level. So, so just all of that. I already talked for a half hour. I said a lot. Might have said most of it. So, interesting. Okay, well, I was just talking about that. The Five of Cups. So the Five of Cups being all the losses, all of the losses. But look at her. She's in this enchanted forest. She's in the forest. It's like she's having these losses and she's kind of watching them fall into the water. But there's this compost energy in this as well, where that water, there's that primal water again, where this this dead water, this dead, relationship, or dead job or situation or habit or conversation or friend group or whatever, is now flowing back into the structured water, the stream that holds the true code. So it's like being released to be composted back in, and here you are sitting in this magical forest with your intuition here, just alone with yourself, but with the support of the trees and all the helpers and that plasma, that energy. It's also interesting because my friend that I was talking about, that we did the session together, she, we have a lot of toads here, and so and we've been getting rain. It's in our monsoon, so that's when they come out. And so she was telling me, I know this is a frog, but she was telling me how, because we were talking about the plasma, because it was coming up in her session as well. I didn't know it was plasma at that point, or maybe I did. Yeah, I had just found out right before her session. And so she was telling me about the toads and how they sit under her solar lights, and for the bugs, and she's just been watching them. They sit there with their eyes like half closed, and she's like, there's this energy and this transmission off of them that is communicating, and then we were like, it's the plasma, it's in the animals too. And I know you might be noticing it with your animals. Like I've been noticing it with my cats. And I mentioned this in the last reading too, like since I got back from the ocean, and connected with the plasma through the clouds. Makes sense also because the clouds, it's like the air is the messenger, it's like, we're going to be the first one to deliver you this message. And then you might find it in the water, and then you might find it in the fire, and then we'll find it in the earth, this kind of thing. And then you'll find it in the animals, then you'll find it in yourself, that kind of trickling down makes sense to me. Not that it has to go that way, but, it's kind of how it went for me. But so identifying that energy in the animals as well. And so again, being surrounded by this supportive energy. And so again, it's both, even in this card that's indicating the loss and the clearing, there's also both, so this same kind of message twice. Okay, so let's see. This is fun. I've missed this. It's fun for me. It's fun. And it's spirit communication, and it's just good. So I'm taking both of these cards. We have the Page of Swords and the King of Pentacles. So here's another pentacle. The Ten of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, those are the most earth-based, grounded cards. So again, an indicator of things finally trickling out into the physical, our physical holograms changing. And of course, that can create a lot of loss and things having to leave to make room for these new things to be coming, right? But it is about, and the 10th Pentacle has, kind of like a wish fulfillment type of energy to it, that which you've been wanting, that which matches you, that which makes sense to you. It's like that which is made of the same fabric of you, and so therefore doesn't feel separate from you, that which you can flow with and be with, thinking of like kind of like, homes or energies or friend groups or partners or jobs, that which matches you. Manifesting in the physical. The Page of Swords is an energy of like kind of like clearing away the cobwebs. So there's that clearing energy again, but seeing things differently, where all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way. Or like all of a sudden now that like this stuff is removed. So that's what I was talking about with the death as well, where like that can happen even when you end a relationship with somebody, or you leave a job, like you're in a situation. Like when I was working at Mystic, there was a certain configuration of personalities and dynamics in that crew that held a certain energetic signature. And it's like I was enmeshing with that because I was there every week, and it was something I needed to dance with at that time. But when that phase was over, it's like everything opened up for me, because I didn't have to maneuver amidst this energy. I just had my own to work with, and that was all very important for me, and again, part of the path. And same thing with whatever it is that's leaving, like whatever that, that thing is, that configuration of energies, whether it's positive or negative or both, had its purpose, and it was woven with something in you. But when that clears and leaves, then you can see clearly, and you can think of things in a different way. And so that's the other thing. It feels connected to this organic intelligence, plasma, elemental energy that is coming through and is new. And so I felt really guided. I've been feeling guided to, like, I was like, this is really important, and I really want to talk about it, and I want to bring attention to it because it's there in the field. It's almost like it's just there behind the clouds. And when the cloud parts, you can see it and you can feel it. And again, what we focus on and what we put our attention on, we get more of, and we also develop a relationship with it. So I really felt to talk about it and to put words to it and to give analogies to it so that people, you could like hone in, like my friend, that was like, oh yeah, she started talking. As I was talking about it and giving these analogies and describing it to her and what we were seeing in the session, she connected it to the frog because she recognized the energetic signature of what I was saying. And then when you recognize it in something in your own life, you develop a relationship with it. Well, that strengthens your relationship, strengthening your relationship with it in terms of perceiving it and identifying it. Also helps it to help you. It helps it to inform you. It helps it to support you. It helps it to bring you these new ideas. So, but again, even though I felt like doing that, I was too busy like sitting on my couch, like the toad with my eyes half closed, because I was kind of in this energy, of receiving. But so I'm glad that I am on here talking about this because I feel like I have a love affair with this energy. And it started with the clouds where I was just like, oh my God, like I felt like it was like a best friend that was sharing all its secrets, but I didn't know what those secrets were. And I think partially because I could feel how individuated it was, how specific it was to me, and then seeing that in the sessions. And it's like so dear and so helpful. And so the other thing that I often feel, and I've said this to people a lot, is like we knew when we took birth here at this time. First of all, we have prepared for this for lifetimes because this is a long game and there's really no time. So it's not like, it's not like this is what we're doing. We're doing this and we happen to be in this segment of this, right? And so we've been doing all of this. So we knew at this time there would be these inorganic energies and all the artificial intelligence and the bioweapons and distortions and infiltrations we knew that. And so, and I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again. It's related here. And when I first felt the first really creepy rogue signal inside of my body, I knew that I was interfacing with a program that was running. It unpacked for me. It took a little while for me to unpack, but immediately I was like, whoa, this is not natural. This is not real. This is not natural. This is something really weird. And I immediately heard it's catalyzing light body activation. And so it's interesting because on the one hand, I felt those kind of activations from the solar energy, but then I also felt a very similar energy from the rogue signals coming off the towers or off the medical things or the things that were cycling around that year. It was a similar energy in that one was organic and one wasn't organic. So you could discern from the frequency whether it was natural or not. The one that wasn't natural had sort of a scrambling effect that was interfering with the natural, and the natural was all about activation, DNA activation, clearing, shaking off, right? Well, of course, the programs that want to control and siphon off your energy are going to want to infiltrate that and they can't really stop but slow down that process, mind control people into manifesting negatively, that kind of thing. Just this whole spiritual battle that we've been going through. But they were very similar in the fact that they were both a catalyst to light body activation and to DNA activation and to clearing and to kicking these things off. And that's the thing about the dark, even if it has a negative agenda that's trying to slow down or to harm what's very natural, it's still part of the whole. It thinks it's separate and therefore it doesn't have access to the unity consciousness stream and all the telepathy, and which is why it has to hijack and steal because it's separated itself off. But it's like, silly thing, all you have to do is come back and you can have all this access, but it doesn't know that. And it's really into this dark thing. And so, but everything that it does is still in service to the evolution of humanity because it's actually not separate. It just thinks that it is. So everything that it does is in service to us. And so that whole victim mentality and the like, oh no, and it's like, again, and I always say, like, it's important to understand the extent of the spiritual battle, to understand what's going on multidimensionally here so you can play the game well and you're not just like false lighting your way through because you want to be aware. because there is a lot of like commanding that you have to do, and claiming your space and communicating with the lower density energy so that you can harmonize your body and it, if it chooses to, back into the fold of all that is. So it's like that awareness is important, but to be careful that you don't then just spin in fourth dimensional duality consciousness of us and them, them. But it's important to do it enough to understand the nature of this realm, right? And so being multidimensional, but being wise about it, and so it's just a journey, a lot of us are cracking the code now at this point, and just sharing from that level of integration in case it's helpful to you, wherever you're at on your journey. Hold on, I'm going to drink some water here. So I just said a lot, and I was going in a certain direction. It will probably come back to me. Let me look at these cards a minute. So things coming down into the physical is what we were talking about. Yeah, let me move on, because I said a lot. I'll just see here. I'll remember at some point. Oh, interesting. Wow. So water. So this row is starting with the frog and ending with the water. And so there's a lot of that again, that psychic energy, that cleansing, that clearing. So we have earth and water here. We have, we have water, earth, water. Then we have air, and then we have earth and water. So a lot indicating what are our physical bodies, earth and water. I mean, we have all the processes, right? We have fire, and we have all of them. But the earth, you look at it, it's earth and water, and same with our bodies. And so there's a lot of indication on the physical body, which I think is why I'm talking about that so much right now. And so that is what I was talking about. I was talking about the physical and the physical body, and the healings that are going on, and things that are possible now that weren't before. It's almost like, again, I know what I was saying. Oh my gosh. Thanks for bearing with me. When I was talking about the two frequencies, and how I heard that it was all about light body activation and evolution, and the moving out of frequency range of the lower energy. So all about this ascension, evolution energy, whether it came from the light source, the sun, or the dark source, the project programs and the hijacks, it's still all in service. And so we knew that we were coming into that, and we knew that when these frequencies started coming at the exact same time. And why are they coming at the same time? Because the natural frequency is trying to be stopped, but of course it can't, because it's all part of one whole thing. And so see why I lost my train of thought. It's a lot, but and so it all funnels. There's a singularity. It all funnels into the singularity of evolution, and so that's where we're at right now. And so we don't need to be in fear. We don't need to worry about anything that's going on, because again, it's all funneling. But there is something about having that awareness and being conscious, so that we can choose to. So there's something that's been coming up for me around tension and relaxation, and the yogis that like with the pranayama in terms of all the pranayamas, right? The yoga and the tension relaxation exercises, and the breathing, and the tension, like, and then the releasing, and there's something about tensing and then releasing, that's really powerful for the body. And you notice when you stretch in the morning and you're like, oh, and then you release. It's like the body likes that, right? It's the polarity of contraction and expansion. And so, in terms of like what we've been doing, we've been holding all this tension in our body and the fear, and all the fear programs. Well, now the opposite of that is relaxing, and that there's a alchemy that happens when you're like in your daily. So I'm noticing the neural pathways where, like, my kids are all the whole way across the world, and like my son has been very isolated for a very long time, and he's out, he's not a matrix kid, and he chose his upbringing and all that. It's all perfect, but he's out there in the world. And so anyway, I've been having moments where it's like, I remember how sensitive he was as a little baby, and like, when he's a little boy and having to cut off all the tags on his shirts, and he can't have socks with seams, and he's just this sensitive, special little guy. And tuning into that, and like, just some of those things that happen with that tension. And then I catch it and I'm like, I'm relaxing and I'm like, I'm commanding, or intending or just like consciously relaxing my body. And it feels so amazing because there's an alchemy that happens when, it's like you tense and you tense, you might tense. I've been tense for like decades, tension, the habit of fear, all these programs are relieving. So like water, there's this releasing of the tension as well, and through the fascia. And, but again, just like, so this might be more than I need to say. This is kind of part of why I haven't been doing a reading, because it's on so many different levels, although it's always like that. But, it's like when you are in a higher age and everything's unified, and then you fall and you go into separation and then you come back up, that unified field feels different once you've fallen and remembered than it did when you were just there eternally with only the light, so there's a huge progression and expansion by forgetting and by going into the opposite. And you have both, right? You have both, and then you come back up to this point, and you still have both, right? So it's the wholeness. It's the wholeness journey in this realm of duality, which is on purpose and profound. And so same thing with the tension and the relaxation. You might have been tense for a long time. As you're relaxing, there's this huge alchemy that's happening. I'm just realizing this now. This is just a channel that's happening on a really deep level. And I feel that it's happening in the fascia. It's happening in the nervous system, and it's happening in the fascia. Every time that you tense because of something you hear in the world, or you tense because of something that might be something that's triggering a biological maternal instinct to protect, or yourself or your children or whatever, or the world, and you consciously release that, there's a communication that's happening with the information highway, I want to say, the information highway through your fascia and your nervous system, that's transmuting something. So it's really powerful to know this, because a lot of us are in physical pain because of all the tension that we've held, and the contraction and the fear and the programs we've been running, not to mention the toxicity overload that we've had in our bodies. And so now it's possible to rectify that, but it can be really overwhelming, because it's like, how many massages can you afford, or how many times can you lay on a block, or, and if some of us, it's like, I can't do the pressure releases. I was doing like laying on tennis balls and stuff, and my whole body will go into spasm because of the level of contraction that I've had, and some of the patterning that went through my body. So anyway, this message of like, there's a huge healing that I just learned happening in the fascia and in the nervous system every time we catch ourselves and we're going into a fear-based contraction thing, and we relax and we expand our energy instead. It's like, it's actually kind of important in a way. Like, you can celebrate if you get into a moment of fear and contraction, instead of like, oh man, I'm still doing this. It's like, well, it's like an accordion. It's part of how we're purifying and cleansing out the fascia, coming through as water right now, holding the memory. The fascia holds the memory of everything that we've seen and been through. There's a purification. So that's really good news. I am so happy to hear that. Okay, so I'm at 52 minutes. I might just make this a longer one because it's been so long. And whenever you want to hop off, you will hop off. So next we get the Strength card. Look at what is going on up here, up top. That's the other thing. The plasma energy that I have been feeling, this organic intelligence that seems to be woven through everything, has this real sort of like iridescent, pinkish, sparkly, golden hue. And so it's interesting that this is coming up. And so look at, the Strength card is like a merging of, again, the human and the beast, or like the polarity. Like you can find it in that way, whatever analogy you want to use. You could be your shadow self. It could be the Draco part of you through the hybridization in your genetics, but healing that, emerging with that, and being assisted through this energy. So that's really interesting how that's coming through. Again, you're in the garden, you're in nature, this is a natural movement. So again, that message of like, we're in the garden. This is what's real. The overlay, which I'm not seeing anywhere in these cards, although maybe a little bit in this, just because it's indicating we're clearing out something. What are we clearing out? But the overlay that's covering up, and again, the Page of Swords, clearing out the veil, clearing out so that you can see clearly and what you're seeing clearly. So I mentioned this, some of you might have seen this on Facebook. I found this new spot in the forest, and like my friend Jane and I, we've been going up into the forest together for like at least like 12 years, probably 12 years. And then I've been going up by myself, for several years before that, or with other people. So it's been about 17 years. But Jane and I, my friend Jane, we drive past the forest, through the forest, out to the Middle Fork where the hot springs are, where I often have photos, and it's on the 33rd parallel and all this. And so we're always driving through there. We've done it like, oh my gosh, like I don't even know, countless times over the last 14 years. And so we both, the same day, honed in on this new trail where we were like, I was looking at it and I kind of felt her looking at it too. And then she said something. I'm like, yeah, we both felt that. And so the next day or a couple days later, my daughter and I went up there. And first of all, it's monsoon season, so it's just like completely green and like amazing, but it's a really, really, really special spot energetically. I'm sure it wouldn't be as special without all the green, but it was just like heaven. And I wasn't able, with my daughter, I wasn't able to get far because she was tired and she didn't want to walk far. And so we just kind of laid down and then we left. But this time when I went with Jane, she wanted to rest, but I walked for like an hour, and I went through, and there were certain areas where I was just in tears. Like I felt like I was in heaven. I felt like I was in the garden, I was just like in the garden. And it was just this transmission that I felt like I had, and probably with the help of the plasma, energies that I had connected to, like a door had opened, a secret garden had opened. And so this is connected to the manifestation and the physical as well, where we're starting to see that which started in the energy, sort of like as like a vision or maybe even a hope or a prayer, and then is coming down more and more physical. Even again, plasma is the fourth stage of matter. So it's still part of matter. It's coming into the field, starting to trickle down. So even things like that, like discovering this little hidden Eden that even after 17 years of going up there, I never found. I found it now. It's not a coincidence, and just noticing things in your life that you're like, wow, that's happening now. It's connected, and it's a manifestation. Things are merging, and merging in the physical on the earth through the energy that's woven through. It's really profound. I hope you could feel the energy in this. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, oh gosh, retreat. Yeah, oh my gosh. So I think a lot of us are feeling that. And like, I have not been leaving my house, and mine was sort of a forced retreat, but I think I would have done it anyway because my car, I can drive it a little bit. I can drive it in town because if the cylinder cracks the whole way and then I lose the car completely, I can at least like easily get a ride home. I don't want to go out where I don't have cell service, or where I'm risking pushing it over the edge with the heat and stuff like that. And so I've been like on this retreat, and like I said, I'm having a lot of sessions and readings, but everybody's coming to me, or I'm doing it over, virtual like this. And so I go out like once a week, and I go and get some food. And other than that, I either walk up on the hill, or if Jane drives us, we go to the forest once a week. But yeah, and so I've just been really in my own, kind of in my own energy, my own world, I had to like walk down and pay my water bill, and I put headphones on because I wanted to stay in my own zone. And so this real, and even like not doing readings, just kind of just being more on retreat. And my other friend, she got a bone bruise, and so she's on crutches, so she hasn't left her house in 9 days, about the same amount of time that I haven't left my house. So it's like when you see these things, and then my other friend, it's like her family's gone and my family's gone. And so we're both, her and I have been doing a lot of work together in the behind. We always do. This is my spotter friend that I always talk about. And so, but what are the odds that like our families, and I call them our archons because they're like the ones that kind of bring through the darker energies for us. And we're having a break from that at like the exact same time, you know, a lot of retreat energy, a lot of ancestral repair. I also have been witnessing some of the things that I was talking about through the lineage that corrects back through the my children in Morocco with their uncle, you know, and so a lot of decoding, a lot of information's been coming through around that clearing of that lineage, which then connects to different timelines, different earth histories, the Jesus timeline, the, you know, a lot, you know, it's a lot, right? And so you can find that in any of your ancestral curses, things behind that. It will connect with different timelines and fractals of the same energy that your history is connected to, that your life streams are connected to. So a lot of freaking decoding, a lot, and needing to be on retreat to do that. So we're not pulled into the world. We're not pulled into other people's energy. We're not pulled into other people's storylines or versions of reality, or again, you know, the way the energy is running and distortion and stuff like that. Like just being able to really do that work, which is interesting because it's coming out underneath this 10 of earth. So this is kind of that energy that I'm feeling where I'm like, it's just me and me in my house, you know, it's like, what in the world could be better, you know, and then having sessions and readings that kind of, so I don't get bored or cabin fever, you know, I'm interacting with a lot of people, but it's just like the absolute best, you know, like alone in your sanctuary, you know, and maybe if you're alone, maybe you're for the first time creating a sanctuary for yourself or creating that feeling of being held, you know, but something like that, like really pulling back our energy and to receive for the clearing, you know, for the clearing and the receiving, because it's kind of taking precedence right now. It's absolutely taking precedence, even though I'm seeing, and there are huge indicators of things coming out into the physical, even with this card here. Yes. So, oh my God. So strength card again. We got the strength card two times in a row with retreat in between. So that's sort of indicating something too with the retreat in between, kind of like what I was saying, like making space for this work, because this is a major arcana. So there's a bit of a divine timing energy with this, where there's huge. Now this one, she's making friends with the dragon. There's her dragon. That's interesting because again, a lot of what we're clearing right now through our family line and through what is clearing from this realm is that the draconian energy, the negative fraction of the Draco energy and the reptilian energy, you know, the negative, the inorganic, the siphoning one, okay, and then but clearing that, but in that is a transmutation where, because the dragons are also connected to the plasma, and they're connected to the restoration that's happening through our physical bodies and through our lineages and through everything, really, through all the systems. The dragons, when I was going through my body activations, again, when I felt those frequencies and it was like, it doesn't matter, it's all going in the same direction. I had a lot of like, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd be seeing like a dragon eye in front of my third eye, or I'd dream of dragons, and it was just like dragons. And mostly in the dream time, sometimes in the energetic or the astral or meditation. And I know a lot of us were having that, you know, during that year, and because I would post a lot about it, and there'd be all these people, and there'd be like dream syncs with people and stuff like that. It was like the dragons. And so I learned that they were huge with the activations, again, like this, you know, the activations with the plasma, and then the dragons connecting to that in a really big way. It's weird. It's different because it's like, whereas the other things, like even I guess it's like with the clouds or the water, you know, the plasma translates so effortlessly into it. When it comes to the animals, even the toad or the cats or the dragon, it takes on a different quality. It's just a nuance that I'm noticing. I guess because there's more individuation and more personality with a animal, because they're more individuated. So there's just like other energies that transmit that are perhaps louder, but the plasma energy, that correction, organic intelligence is still there. So a lot with with the dragons. In fact, Alora said that too, because she was picking up on the same, she was experiencing the same ancestral clearing that I was, along with the correction energy, you know, so it's all there. It's like, yeah, it's like information that it is accessible to all of us, and we might put it in different words. We might receive it through different means, but it's there in the field. So again, wanting to talk about this for maybe somebody that hasn't quite made the connection yet, where I might, in talking this, you might have you know, or like, oh, that reminds me of this, or, you know, or something clicks on for you, or something activates where you can tune into these energies and participate and really honor this process. Because again, the more of us that have our consciousness and our awareness on this, the easier these kind of clearings and shuttings go, because it makes it easier to release the old programs and the old neural pathways, because we have a new one to replace it. You know, again, there's a lot of that, you know, there's stuff leaving, but there's a new thing replacing it. And just, yeah, just an awareness, an awareness. So again, the strength card twice, a lot of merging with ourselves, but also the strength card is a message of perseverance and strength, you know, where it's like so I had posted something the other day. I was up on the hill and there was a lot coming through around orange. There's a lot with orange for me right now. So it's like Mary Magdalene energy, it's alchemy, it's like life force energy, it's activation, it's healing, it's command, it's sacral, it's creational. Okay. And one of the last photo that I posted was a flower. I think it was a senna flower, if I'm remembering correctly, and it was coming up through a rock. And in one of my decks, that's the message of the strength card, that, you know, it's like you come up, you can bloom even in places where, you know, it's a rock. You know, it's how'd you find that little bit of dirt and grow there and bloom, you know. So there's a little bit of message of that too, the strength. You have the strength to see this through. That being a double message in this reading. There might be some people that need to hear this, where it's like you're again, you knew what you were coming into, and you have the strength and the knowing, and it's like the imaginal discs of the caterpillar. It knows how to become a butterfly. I talk about that a lot. You know how to do this. You got this. you got this, you know, like this. And just, and if you need to take time to yourself, in fact, that time to yourself seems to be being indicated and encouraged, because this is a really big movement. Again, also why I was really kind of keeping to myself. Aside from like individual sessions, it's, you're kind of honing in on a specific, I don't know, just following my guidance. But here I am today doing this. Maybe things are shifting. Wow, the sacrifice. And that is a number 44. 44 is being a card, a number, and a frequency for me and probably others around safety. Being safe, being secure, stability, 4 legs of a table. You know, it's not wobbly. There's a safety, but the sacrifice, as so many of us have sacrificed so much. 44 is also a template, the stability, the earth. There's a templating energy in this. So for those of you that have passed up normalcy, have passed up society, have passed up relationship, have passed up sex, have passed up finances, security, because you were guided to do this, you know, wow, it's making me dizzy. This kind of this journey that has required a lot of strength and perseverance, and this is like the hell diving. This is the sewer crawl. This is especially now that it's coming out with the sacrifice, you know, this is the inner journey. This is the mystical journey where you have to kind of renounce the world, because you just, you know, maybe started out thinking like, man, I didn't get anything right. It's like you weren't supposed to. You sacrificed all that which isn't even real, which is part of the program, so that you could template, again, the 4. And the strength, the stability. So there's a lot of energy. I think the strength card is an 8. Yeah. So it's like the 8, the 4, the 4, you know, all this stability. Again, the 8s being that scorpionic energy, you know, like the hidden, the behind, you know, you're sacrificing the mundane, the conditioned, the accepted, the that which we're supposed to be for something that nobody can even see. You might have been ridiculed. There's that rejection stuff again. You might have been outcast. You might, like my son, you might have been misunderstood. You might have been projected upon. You might have judged yourself. You might have, I certainly did. And that's what's so beautiful about my son, for that I can say to him, like, this is about your journey and your mission and what you're decoding as accurate for you. It doesn't matter what anybody else is doing or thinks. And I wasn't able to give that to myself. And I don't think anybody even knew I was going through what I was going through, because I was just too busy pretending I was normal, and so, but again, that's how we get conditioned, and that's how we kind of lose. But those of us that are here, that are here for this templating, we're not going to get it right. We're going to lose it all, and we're going to have a shit show of a life. But that was on purpose. That was our sacrifice and our choice. So that's really interesting, but it's coming out underneath the Page of Swords. So that's that clearing away, where it's like, we're able to see this now. We're no longer, even my son, who's very new to this world, he's 23, he's just starting his adulthood. It's like, he's able to see that he's making a choice. He's making a choice for a higher service that he's connected to. And so there's that sacrifice is being honored. It's being seen by us, for ourselves and for each other. And the hold of the should and the conditioning is just more part of the matrix that's crumbling. I feel like there's more with this card, though, the sacrifice, and she has this butterfly coming out of her hand there. And so there is a bit of a transformation where I feel, this message of the sacrifice is over. It was the first part of the journey. You did it well. You might have done it kicking and streaming for part of it, but eventually you surrendered to it. You understood. And in that moment, again, the clearing and the receiving and the clouds parting, it's like, and again, the physical, things are, and these also being physical cards, where there's this stability that you have gained, this level of integration that you have gained between your light and your dark, and your masculine and your feminine, and your spirit and your matter, and that is creating the template here on the earth. And you are part of that earth and part of that template. And so things are starting to come through in the physical for you. That's what I am feeling. And so it's almost like a sacrifice of the sacrifice, it's like, there's a completion energy with this. I'm also noting that there, in the beginning, we had the 10, 111, 1111, 11101. I just saw it on the clock. So a new beginning, a completion, an ending, and a beginning. So kind of signifying that as well. I had posted something, I think it was today, and it was like, may things shift out of being strong and into being held and nurtured, and coming out of survival into thrival would be another way to say it, but it was, may things be soft, and may you be nurtured rather than having to be so strong. So and I feel like that is a very it's captured in the energy I'm feeling in this card, where it's like, we're moving out of this. I mean, again, these are really, really strong, freaking solitary, isolated. And on the one hand, it can be looked at current moment, like, okay, we're going through this right now. We're doing a bit of an inner dive, and there's a bit of a sacrifice and a withdrawal, and and that's true. But on the other hand, this has been a lifestyle for a lot of us, and so all of these cards are isolated and alone and hard and requiring a lot of strength, and so just noting that here. Let's see what comes out next, though. It might take so long to upload this. That's the only thing about having it. Oh, then it was 1221, 1/12/21. Yeah, so that was that mirror number, So a lot of little messages slipping in anywhere they can. Beauty. Okay, so there's that Eden energy, in the garden, where I'm just going to kind of speed through the rest of these here. Again, kind of clarifying the physical, the beauty, the relaxation, the feeling good, again, coming out of the strength and the the struggle, and into softness and nurturance, and into the garden, into Eden, and gaining access to that through the sacrifice and the struggle that you've gone through. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I was just talking about, like, I don't know if I said that, but I had said that to Jane. Like it's as if we gained access to this beauty, to this frequency, to this heaven on earth frequency. So it's a manifestation energy because you're matched to it. It starts pulling in your hologram, and I feel that that's where we're at collectively and in general, you know. And you might again, this can be looked at personally, where you might be in this energy right now, but this energy is still here. Remember, it's both the clearing and the receiving, and just putting our awareness on that to help stabilize ourselves in this process through clarity and awareness and consciousness. Because again, remember, consciousness is it creates, consciousness creates, focus creates. And so as we put our attention on the helpful elements, the plasma, this type of energy that's coming through, we connect with it, and we can feel more held and supported in this. The Christ consciousness association with the lion as well. Christ consciousness, the divine masculine energy, the gutters, you know, the car, you know, whatever it is in your hologram, where we're feeling held, even if we're just doing that for ourselves to start with, which might mean saying no, or, you know, taking time to yourself, or whatever it is to provide that for yourself. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So we're ending on the last card that we have is another 4. And so, and also just real quick, this beauty is coming out under the King of Earth, which is the Earth card. You know, this is like a garden manifestation card. So just another physical representation here. This one is mindful group think. So there we are. This is what we're leaving. But again, there's always 2 different coins, sides to the coin. So on the one, and again, everything's always in service. It's never just a negative. So there's the we can look at this as mindful groupthink, you know, just like the monkey mind. See, there's a little monkey down there, you know, the monkey mind, the thing that we're letting go of and coming out of. But we can also look at it as groupthink, as in that telepathic network, because look at the rest of the card. It's beautiful. And there's that, oh my God, look, there's that keyhole. Like I was saying, you gain access into the garden, you find that key. How do you find that key? You know, you go through your own alchemies, and you go through that sacrifice, and you find that light and that castle within you that opens through, you know, the tree of life, you know, all these symbols. This is beautiful energy. So coming out of the group think, you know, the program, the mind spell, the monkey mind, and birthing into this Garden of Eden energy. And in this is that telepathy where, like, you know, for example, Laura and I picking up on the same things, you know, and her confirming that for me, and whoever else, it's like all the different people. Or like when one of us will post something on, like I had that wolf dream, like where I woke up and I had that, it was like, so I talked about this on Facebook, you might've seen it, where it was like, I was being shown how everybody was being shown in their mind's eye, like their true face, or they were being shown. It reminds me again of the plasma, where like it's specific to that person. It's exactly correct for that person. So everybody was being shown or merged with or given the exact, given energetically, the exact thing that they needed for their journey. And I was watching this, and then I started waking up. And as I woke up, which is interesting because in my other deck, one of my other decks, the strength card is, she's with a wolf. And so what I was seeing was a wolf, and it was a white wolf. And so I posted that on Facebook, and I hadn't really decoded it yet. I did a lot of decoding after that, but there were a lot of people that were like talking about the wolf. And then the very next day was International Wolf Day. And it was just like that, right? Like this telepathic network where there is a higher mind, a higher mind group thinking. Once you get into that room, you're all seeing and feeling and getting a lot of the same symbols and a lot of the same dreams. And then on my memories for that day was this Australian girl, this young girl, and she was singing Walk on the Wild Side by Lou Reed. And it was this amazing, she did it so well, it was so cute, so wonderful. And but it was the wild side, and somebody was commenting on the wolves and how it connected her. She always thought of it as her wild side, and I was like, oh my gosh. So we were like decoding on that post, and But then two other people wrote and said that the one woman said she was like singing that song in the shower, and like somebody else had just listened to it the night before. And you know what I mean? Like you cannot make this stuff up. Like it's we can be in the false unity. So I found this other quote, again, the Facebook, tarot cards, right? I found this quote, and it was talking about, how there's this false unity consciousness through our society, but yet there's a lower frequency running through it, and it's really plugged in through conformity and fear of rejection and unhealed, unconfronted insecurity wounds and stuff like that. And it's really about control and everything, but it has this illusion and this false light thing of like, oh, we're all one and we're all together here, and you got to do it for the people, and all this. And meanwhile, it's this total hijack. And so that's what I say, there's two sides of the same coin, where there's the inversion, but then there's the true version of the positive of groupthink, which is telepathy, and which is unity consciousness and spirit guidance, and where you're receiving information not through your linear mind or through somebody else's program or whatever, or version of reality. You're receiving it through your own psychic centers, through your own synchronicities, through your own symbols. And then again, it might match up with other people, and you're like, wow, we're all in the same garden. Yay, how wonderful. I'm not alone here. But you're not like being programmed by somebody else's reality or somebody else's system or somebody else's thing. It's like it's an honoring of the fact that we all have this access within us, and moving out of the control-based linear, like looking outside of ourselves for somebody to tell us what's true. We're all connected to this, and that's that message of that plasma. Again, we all have this organic intelligence that is our own higher self, really, represented in different forms depending on how you're accessing it and wording it. But anyway, we all have this access to this healing, to this evolution, to this. It comes within us. It comes to us through our own channel works. Maybe we really like numbers. Might come, you notice that when you listen to people channeling actual entities outside of them, they're like, well, my conduit doesn't understand physics, so we need to explain it in unicorns, or whatever it is. And it's gonna notice that too. Like in the energy work, it's like, I understand my channel, and my channel understands me, and it'll communicate to me with associations, because sometimes I'll see things from my childhood and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just projecting. And it's like, no, it's just showing me through what I know, and same thing with you. It's going to show you through what you know, and to trust your own symbols, and to trust your own connections, and to trust your own. I hope people listen to the end, because this is really the whole point. God, it took me over an hour to get to it. Not that the other stuff wasn't important too, but just this is such a huge thing right now, and trusting the stability of your own templating of your own heaven on earth that you're walking out, and yeah, like listening to others and their stories can be inspiring and can remind us that help us to see how we're doing the same thing, or relate, or the synchronicities, or inspiration, or confirmation, or whatever. But to know that we all have this inside of ourselves. Again, those imaginal discs. So I'm so glad I got that all out. That was so much. But I literally said everything that's been swirling around for the last 3 weeks. So wonderful. Thank you for tuning in. And for those of you that made it to the end, that's your manifestation, for us to be here in the garden together, joining in these energies and anchoring them together. That was an alignment for you to do that together with me and the others that are listening. So thank you, oh my God, for your life force energy on this planet. Thank you for all of the clearing and the unraveling and the activating that you're doing. Thank you for all of your dark nights of the soul. Thank you for every time you choose choices or portals. That's the other thing that's been coming through. Every time you choose to listen to your higher, you're shifting this planet, and you're shifting the frequency. And it really is an inside job, and it really is a group job. And because we're all I hate to sound cliche, but we're all one thing. You know, we're all one thing individuated out into millions of beautiful fractals coming out of the conditioned group think and into the beautiful symphony of all it is. So, all right, I'm going to end there. Much love to you all. 122, the longest reading I have ever done. 12244. All right, much love to you, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is.